Thank you.
You know, I think for this next gentleman, it's fitting that we're in the shadow of the Alamo pretty much. Because in the state of Texas, there's not a shrine that stands much taller than this guy, Nolan Ryan. He was elected to the Hall of Fame in his first year of eligibility in 1999. He was recognized on nearly 99% of all eligible ballots. That's a figure that remains the second highest total in history. Nolan is the only player to have his uniform retired by 3 teams, including the Astros and the Rangers. He's the all-time leader in strikeouts, including a couple in this guy, but not too many. He had 7 no-hitters, part of a remarkable legacy that includes him owning or sharing 53 major league records. His 773 starts are second only to Cy Young. An 8-time All-Star, he also threw a dozen one-hitters, tying a gentleman named Bob Feller for the most ever. And he owns 2 of the top 4 single-season strikeout totals in baseball annals, including in 1973, 383 strikeouts with the Angels. He's the Ryan Express. Ladies and gentlemen, Nolan Ryan.
How in the hell did you get all them strikeouts?
Well, they weren't all like you, Pete. That Pete wouldn't swing at the ball until he had 2 strikes on him if he didn't like it, and so, I wouldn't have had those strikeouts if I hadn't been facing more Pete Roses.
Now, that's not really true because he struck me out 13 times. 13 times. I batted 71 times off of him. He walked me 19 times, chicken. I remember the night before the strike in 1981. I was with the Phillies, and we played Nolan, and he was pitching, and I was going for the National League record, 3,631 hits by Stan Musial. And the first time up, I got a base hit. So, man, I'm going to break the record off of Nolan Ryan. The next 3 times he struck me out, I didn't swing 1 time. He made me wait 56 days to break the record. That's how long we were on strike. That's the kind of guy he was. Wouldn't let me get a standing ovation in front
I'm
of
gonna
the Phillies fans.
I'm going to tell you the Nolan Ryan version of that. and this goes back, and Pete may remember this. Back in, Richard, we're going to steal some of your questions
I'm
here.
just listening.
Back in 1980, this one he's talking about was done in 81.
Right.
In 1980, we were playing Philadelphia, and Pete was on the Phillies, and we were playing them it was the 5th game of the National League Championship. And whoever won that game goes to the World Series. And I'm pitching that game, and Pete's one of these guys that when he gets to the ballpark, gets there, before the clubhouse guy gets there, and he puts his uniform on, gets his bat, takes his glove, and he goes down on the field, and he's waiting for everybody else to show up, whether it's a visiting team or the home team or whatever. Well, I go down to take batting practice because I'm pitching that night, and Pete got his bat, and he's leaning down on he's on one knee, and he's leaning on his bat watching batting practice. And I get in the cage to hit. When I got through hitting, I walked out, and Pete goes, "Hey, Nolan." I looked over at him. He says, "I wish you'd get that curveball of yours over just one time. Do you remember this?"
No.
He says, I wish you'd just
Mr.
get
Ryan?
it over.
I didn't say Mr. Ryan.
No, you said Nolan. He said, "I wish you'd get that curveball over just one time." And I go, "Yeah, why is that, Pete?" And he says, "Because I'm going to hit it right off your blanking forehead." And I go, "Oh, all right, we'll see about that." So, we get into the game, and first 2 times up, I don't throw him any curveballs. 3rd time up, throw him fastball in, throw him fastball away. It counts 1-1. I think, now's my chance. And I throw my curveball, and I'm going to start outside, and it's going to break out over the corner, and I'm thinking he's going to take it. Okay? Well, I throw my curveball, and when it leaves my hand, I know it's a good pitch. It was a pitch I wanted to throw. But I see Pete's eyes light up. and he hits the most vicious line drive that would have hit me in the face if I hadn't got my glove up. And it hit the heel of my glove and went out in front of the home plate. And I run down there and pick it up, and he's running to first base pointing at me. Okay? I pick it up and throw him out, and he comes across. They use third base dugout in the dome. He comes across the mound, and he says a couple ugly things to me and goes on into the dugout. Well, we lose that game, and they go to the World Series. Well, to fast forward it, now he's going for the all-time National League hit record. And so I'm pitching that day, and I go down, and we stayed at the Hershey Hotel in Philly, and I go down to eat breakfast, and I'm reading the Philadelphia Inquirer, and there's an article in the sports page about Pete breaking this record, and in spring training, Pete predicted that he was going to break the record that weekend off Nolan Ryan. I thought, well, we'll see about that. So I go out to the ballpark, and you know, Sports Center's there, and everybody and their dog's there, and all the media's, and they're wanting to talk to me before the game about Pete and the record. And I said, I'm not talking about Pete and the record for the game. I'm getting ready for this game, and we'll see what happens. Well, he's the leadoff hitter, and I leave a fastball out over the plate, line drive left field, ties the record. Stan Musial's in the stand with his wife and all these people, and it's all this fanfare, and I'm standing out there going, this is getting serious. So the next 3 times up, I strike him out. And the last time up, I strike him out on 3 curveballs. But let me finish, Pete. Let me finish. So I'm watching Pete, and boy, he is frustrated, and he's beating the ground with his bat, you know.
Pissed.
Yeah, I said frustrated. And I watch him, you know, I'm watching him out of the corner of my eye, and he gets in the dugout, and he throws his bat in the corner and takes off his helmet, and he walks about halfway down the dugout, and I'm watching him, and he turns and salutes me, okay? Now, that's the greatest compliment I'd ever gotten from a hitter. And so what Pete was saying about the strike, we go on strike that night. And 6 weeks goes by before Pete gets another shot at breaking the record. Well, after the strike, they start it with the All-Star game in Cleveland. So I make the All-Star team, and I walk in the clubhouse in Cleveland, old stadium there, and I look up, and Pete is standing in his locker with his back to me. He doesn't know I'm there. And Mike Smith's a teammate of his. Well, Mike's facing me, and he sees me. He goes, hey, Pete, there's Nolan. Pete turns around, looks at me, and shoots me the finger. I mean, the last 2 visual images I had of him, he was saluting me one minute and shooting me the finger the next.